Hi there, guys. God bless each and every one of you, you and yours. Well, interesting article coming out from the People's Voice. None other than Bill Gates boasts new electronic tattoo system will eradicate non-compliance with the Agenda 2030 goals. So just want to look at this from a few angles. Firstly, we're going to be looking at obviously the main article itself, and then some information relating to other headlines that will keep us up to speed with Agenda 2030 goal developments, as well as some other nefarious things that Bill Gates is up to, looking also at microchipping. But before I really crack on with that, just want to go over really what this Agenda 2030 is literally all around. Many of you guys have heard this. You've seen the awful sort of like modern day swastikas that have been stuck on people's lapel. Well, we're going to be looking at this particular issue here. So when we're looking at the Agenda 2030 goals, what we're really talking about is the World Demonic Forum's Great Reset, which is one world government, the fourth industrial revolution that plays a significant part when it comes to the merging of biology, technology, and this whole digital onslaught slavery that we're seeing being rolled out at the moment, the grooming of all of this, as well as the technocratic autocracy, as well as total dependence upon the state. Social credit score systems, we're already seeing that, aren't we, where compliance is rewarded and non-compliance is punished. That's literally being rolled out in amongst these social media platforms, is it not? That if you sort of like tickle up and snuggle up to the beast system and don't expose evil, then you will get rewarded. You will also get the sort of like perks that come with that, which is the ability to be able to monetize your channel, avoid all sorts of strikes and slaps and takedowns and the like. But woe and behold those that actually stand up against the beast system, call out evil for what it truly is, live and act and serve under the scripture of Ephesians 5:11, having nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather exposing them. We're seeing that roll out with the Agenda 2030. Also, this carbon footprint surveillance system, we're seeing that all being set up on roads, are we not, with facial recognition, all this sort of like gearing towards the 15-minute cities. We're also seeing the universal basic income over here in the UK. You have a thing called universal credit. That's the grooming process and the first stepping stone to all of that for compliant citizens. So when we're talking about dependency on the state, this is when they're turning around and saying, well, we'll give you a couple of thousand each month, or however much they agree to give you and allow you to have, and then dependent upon your carbon footprint, your social media, or your compliance to the beast system and its narrative. And then obviously you adhere to all of these particular goals, very much like in China, then it would be dependent on how much money you will end up having at the end of all of that after they fine and punish you because of compliance, or reward you in some cases for the other parts of that. Programmable central banking digital currencies, CBDCs, we know where that's all going. Depopulation agenda, all coming out from the brainchild of the Club of Rome, as well as mandatory vaccinations, okay, for all ages. So when you get such said individuals like Bill Gates literally wanting to vaccinate, 72, he's saying that there's not enough for childhood vaccines. That's monstrous. The Lord didn't create us so deficiency that we needed pharmaceutical intervention or support or aid. And yet now Bill Gates is also going around wanting to vaccinate children or babies before they're even first born. Unbelievable. Now we've also seen the controlled fertility and reproduction as well as being something, with all of the sterilization that's going on, with all of the reductions in the birth rates as per the ultimate aim, which was like, making everyone infertile when it came to the vaccines. We are now seeing this being rolled out, are we not? But at the same time that they're rolling this out, alternatives are also being given and made. Just want to take us just to a couple of headlines whilst we digress. Okay, talking around this, China develops world's first robot capable of giving birth to a human baby. That doesn't fill your sick bucket, then perhaps this might as well. Godfather of AI, Jeffrey Hinton, says machines will soon replace parents. We've been talking around clones, have we not, and the like. So that's some of the monstrous technologies that they're literally wanting, replacing the family units, demasculating men, etc. Role reversals, gender and sexuality confusions is their ultimate agenda, and controlling that with a depopulation agenda is also quite telling. Now, also from Agenda 2030 is the 100% genetically manipulated food and soil, not being forthcoming with what's in ingredients, when they have ritualistic mocking and scoffing rituals for us who drink and consume urine and feces in our food, as well as everything else that's genetically modified, altered, and has mRNA stuck in it, as Bill Gates likes to spray crops and us overhead. We're seeing this real push as well, this forcing us to eat the bugs. Okay, continuing. We're also seeing an increase in robot workforce, or AI literally doing that job. If you go through some job applications and you're trying to look to see what's available and what's been evidenced, so many of these are all around artificial intelligence, being able to write that, being able to serve that, or things relating to electrical engineering or other types of, sort of like robotics, sort of manufacturing. It's all gearing up towards that, because that's where the work is currently at the moment. We were told, and they were lying when they said this, that robots, AI wouldn't replace jobs. And yet we're seeing so much, unemployment, which again goes back to the other goals that they have here, which is total dependency on the state to say, we need you to feed us. We need you to provide for us and help us out with our bills and our rent, because we can't afford that. And the standard of living is so great and increased that so many people are having that extra added burden placed upon them, the burden of man to be able to provide for his family and for himself. It's all manufactured, all of it, every part of it. We're also seeing a ban on all natural remedies and treatments. Oh no, you will have pharmacia and you will have exactly what we have and tell you to have. And we'll outlaw and we'll alienate and we'll marginalize, we'll ridicule, and we'll come up with fake science to push against anything else that actually works. So such things as essential oils, other sort of like natural remedies are all outlawed, so that you are sort of like only taking what the system, what the government, and they permit you to have. Okay, we're also talking around the Internet of Things and the Internet of Bodies. This goes back to the fourth industrial revolution, and also having self-assembly nanotechnology in our veins, in our bodies, as Keir Starmer says, putting it on AI into the veins of Britain. This is what we're seeing, a very transhumanist agenda. This is also what we're seeing when we're seeing magnet tests coming out from certain places as well, all the while literally wanting us to be connected to this grid, as we've discussed over the last couple of days, relating to transhumanism, what 5G, 6G is all in and around, as well as other sort of like space grids and everything else that they've got overhead, literally tracking, surveilling, and also getting that teed up for what I suspect personally will be Project Bluebeam, and them literally being able to use that technology to have a two-way direct interface and talk as if the Lord God himself is speaking. But first of all, they've got to get that into your system, into your body. We're seeing this, are we not? The next type of surveillance is going on under your skin. That was Yuval Noah Harari saying it as it is in terms of revelation of the method. Now, we're going to be looking at this particular article a little bit. We've looked at some of the Bill Gates and what he's been pumping into food. Going to have some headlines around that. But the real drive is revelation, is it not, when it comes to microchips and implantable brain interface technologies. Okay, what I found really fascinating is I was trying to create a thumbnail, guys. All right, and I put one together I wasn't really happy about, but I was really trying to get this sort of like electronic tattoo. All right. And just like I noticed years and years and years and years ago, when they started to have their implantable hand chips, all right, they made an absolute enormous effort never to put that onto the right hand. All right. It was always on the left hand. So all of the technologies relating to the electronic sort of like tattoo system that they've got on, all of them are pictured at the moment on the left hand, assuming that you are stupid and that you won't be able to make the connection where it says causes all great and small. You know what I mean? To put that on their right hand or on their forehead. Okay, so when you got Swiss companies are literally having that, and then when that became a little bit popular, all right, then they started to put it onto the right hand. And a lot of people, more people are predominantly right-handed, okay, over those that are left-handed. But they tried to do that very deviantly for their marketing so that you would not make that biblical connection. Okay, and so I found it really difficult to find one with the right hand. Okay, because that's what they're trying to avoid. But we're seeing this with Neuralink as well. That's all, you know, the mark of the beast, in my opinion, is just literally to one side waiting for their moment. All right, when they reveal things to us, i.e., hey, we've got this new version of this, it's been gathering dust for at least 10 to 20 years. Okay, it's all called the slow reveal. Can't do that all at once because everybody would be like, whoa. So they do it gradually and they groom you and they tee you up through TV and music and everything of that sort. So that by the time that you have this rolled out, you're already preconditioned. You're already good to go with it. So we're seeing these microchips. We're seeing what these microchips also do. We're seeing also vaccines are also mRNA, changing of God in that particular way and giving us, or giving the individuals that are foolish to take this, you know, the image of beast. These are the things that we are seeing being rolled out right now. And we've also seen through scientific journals where they're able to have something in those chips that can release a toxin or release some sort of like, you know, have like a kill switch. All right. They're able to do this remotely by switching off our lives, switching off our powers. They're able to do that for the last 20 or 30 years. Okay, they've been able to. Whenever I used to work in some sort of like, you know, big companies and doing some temping through my university days, and I had a problem with my computer, I would remote access somebody or someone remote access, and they'd be able to isolate my particular console or my computer. I'd have a couple going at the same time, all right, and then you're giving them the position. And then all of a sudden you can see the little mouse and the little cursor being moved about as they're doing all of this sort of like tech stuff that I didn't understand there. So when now I'm not able to use my phone devices or my other devices that I've got here, I can't even make a movie because they're literally undoing everything that I'm trying to do. I can't make a video because they're doing that. And it's really difficult for me to even do a meme, but I'm having to be really sneaky and I'm going to say how I'm doing it. So hopefully they won't bust me for it. But this is what we're seeing, that external ability to be able to, they're able to do it in that like manner. There's nothing to say that they can't literally release something, do you know what I mean, from a chip. We've seen that in some movies as well, have we not? Where you have like, you know, some of these baddies come up to be this really great team, but oh no, they need to be tagged. They need to have some sort of like collar around their neck, and then it goes wrong, or they step out of bounds, or they want to run away and go AWOL. And okay, so that's also part of this. And it's also about the image and the worshipping and the submission to this entire system, which is the beast system that this is really pertaining to and about. Continuing with Agenda 2030, the constant exposure to non-native EMFs, yeah, emergency medium frequencies, RS, 5G, 6G, and 7Gs. So when you're having your ears ringing, that's all the masks that are going up there. That's them testing out. In some cases, there's that direct two-way interference. When you've got all of that in your system, self-assembly, nanotechnology, mRNA, and all of those components, then that's not too hard for them to have that sort of like connect when it comes to devices. That means devices that you have in your phone that you will hold to your face, and they'll be able to have that sort of like feedback and data collection. But that also means them on a wider scale as they're setting up these particular things in and around you, those remote versions of it again. Also seeing the destruction of genders. There are only two genders. okay? And that is male and female, not 72, but a distortion of the family unit as well. Okay, this is the assault on the beautiful environment and unit that the Lord provided us with. We're family here right now, you guys, but there's also our own personal families, and that's also what's being, you know, targeted. The destruction of motherhood, okay, and fatherhood, and the conjugal roles all being shuffled like some particular deck. Seeing it in movies all of a sudden. These were the heroes. The men would come in all big and muscly and whatever. But now replaced. Now the men are stupid. Now the men are thick, almost bordering across upon bimbo mentality. But the women are the ones that are the heroes. The women are the ones that actually start telling men what to do and degrading men like they once were before. And we're seeing that as well. And now they've got that role reversal with the men, and they've happily sort of like, you know, demasculated men, telling them to be, you know, that they're just useless, that they're only good for sperm and money. Okay, now they're reducing the age to those female authority, you know, leads in movies, etc. Okay, and lowering that age, lowering it down to about, you know, 13 or 14. Develops 13 and 14-year-olds, granted, but to that age, to sexual appetites. Again, doing it all in advance. So we're seeing this destruction, we're seeing this perversion and this seediness. And then governments want to turn around and say that online safety bills are for the protection of children. Well, leave their identities alone. Stop sexualizing them and stop offering them medical assistance in dying and euthanasia and death. Stop putting out things on movies and in song that's so depressing, so dark and so violent. You want to be put in that, then go back to where things were 50, 60 years ago and actually hold to the certificates from a movie, such as, you know, the old days where it was like Gone with the Wind. Oh, there was a huge outcry, wasn't it? Clark Gable used the word damn. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. And everyone was in outrage and everyone was like, whoa, you can't say that. You can't say that. Now look at what we have. Constant blasphemy. Constant blasphemy. And then you'll see these movies and they'll turn around and say, this will have a bit of violence, and then it'll have foul language, and I'll watch that and I'll think, okay, fair enough, there isn't any F's or B's or any C's or any of those sort of like words that you would associate with that. Okay, their version of foul language is blaspheming the Lord. That's their version of foul language. That's what they want you to be thinking of. Okay, protecting Islam and their blasphemy laws. But when it comes to the Christians, now not so much a fan of that, really, are they? And then also what I see is you have all of these science fiction sort of like movies as well. Well, they'll literally be on the other side of the galaxy. They're not even human. All right, they're like aliens or some other sort of like species or whatever. Oh, but they still know how to blaspheme. They still know how to misuse the holy name of the Lord. Unreal. The rationing of energy and all natural resources. This is what Agenda 2030 is all about. Part of that also is the, you know, sort of like the artificial intelligence cabling that's being put in and around. Every morning I see them laying out their sort of like groundworks, putting this out. So what, they can make your experience really laggy, so that if you're non-compliant and you're like, I don't care what you guys say, I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do on my, you know, on my computer. Now, power down. I'm not going to abide by your rationing of my electricity. I need heat through the winter. Power down. Off you go. And they can remote turn you off and isolate, triangulate you and do the same thing. Same with your devices. This is what they literally want. Control over every aspect of our lives. The restriction on non-essential air travel. Part and parcel of what they're doing also is this sabotage when it comes to crashes as well, and get everyone all really scared about getting on a plane, getting on a bus, getting on, you know, public transport, making that quite expensive, making it really delayed and really useless, and then putting huge amounts of restrictions on drivers and those that need that particular, you know, sort of like, you know, vehicle or whatever. All of take away that person's independence, turning around and these implemented 2030 agenda goals that you'll to make one trip, which is no more than 1,500, you know, sort of like kilometers every 3 years. You barely get from the States or LA to the UK and that. how they want to marginalize, how they want to put everyone down on lockdown and quarantine already. So many sort of like airports are literally deliberately and purposefully going under and stopping, ceasing to be. How is that going to work out with all of their chemtrails and everything else with no airports? That'll be really, giving away, won't it? But it will all be done by then. We'll all be bugged and sprayed and all of this smart dust, and we'll all have various other particular conditions. Talking about 15-minute cities, open air prisons. This is what they're literally doing, isn't it not? Sabotaging everything, like in Maui, sabotaging things like in LA. And you've got that Gavin guy, like we said yesterday, being so giddy and excited about the developments of smart cities that were already underway, and behind him, LA is on fire and people were being burned to death. This is what they're all about, wanting to have some big show and tell for the Olympics in LA, in a couple of years' time. The horrific component of what all that is going to be, an open air prison. We're also seeing drones, are we not? Please see Palantir and the Gotham technology that he has relating to drones that can literally just fly overhead and just shoot you straight in the face. Seeing everywhere. Britain is just one of those places. Ridiculous surveillance. I live next to a shop, and before I even walk into that shop, there's 2 cameras outside. The second I take one step into there, there's 3 cameras right directly above my head. So within the space of like 1 meter, there's 5 cameras. And then there's a camera there, there's a camera everywhere, as if we're so untrustworthy. These don't ever sort of like, work for anyone's benefit or betterment when there's a requirement for them to be shown when there's crime. It's all meant to be there for our protection, to make us feel safe, but we've never been so, as fearful as we are right now, making everyone sketched out with all of this. People then also, jumping on the bandwagon of all of that, and then having their own type of surveillance as well outside, their sort of like protecting their particular property. Gone are the days where you could just leave your car, leave your door open, and people would just be aware of that's just your stuff. You just don't nick that, man. You just leave it alone. But we don't live in a society anymore, is it? It's all to be surveyed and intrusive, and sort of like encroaching on our privacy and our freedom of movement, where we want to go and who we want to talk to. It's awful. If I'm away from my devices for too long, it will start giving me recommendations, literally trying to find out what's going on. And then it will have some sort of like, phone call AI that will make the phone call, and then I'll phone it back, and it'll be like an automated service or something, but just trying to find out where it is that I am. It's not happy that they have windows and blocks where they don't know where I am and what it is that I do. It's the same thing with like TV or things like that. It insecuringly and really needy, clingy, wants to know, are you still watching? Are you still watching? Please engage with me. Please engage with me. Just this morning, I had like, AI as well saying, oh, Mr. Trendell, you bought some flakes for your guinea pigs. Oh, you must be running out low. I'm the one that moderates how much my guinea pigs eat. Thank you very much. They haven't run out of that at all. I ration their food. Not because I'm nasty, but I don't want them eating just flakes. I want them to eat, vegetables. I want them to eat things that I go and forage that manages them and their diet, and they're really well looked after. Okay, because I take that really, as a responsibility. But that's not for them to tell me what it is they think that I should and should not have and when. As if they're moderating my behavior. Quit trying to know me. I don't want to know you. I don't want to know what you're offering or what you're providing. We're also seeing over here these movement sensors, seeing technology in and around you that you think, that's a bit weird. That's a little bit dubious. Just down the road, there used to be a little really small building, like the size of a garage, okay? And that was for Southwest Water. And they'd have like whatever they had in there, I don't know what, their engines and meter readings, whatever. Now that is literally there's one road north to south, really, from North Devon to South Devon. All right. And I live literally on that road. But just at a really pivotal point, there is a building there that has now changed hands, and it's got the police. It's the police there now, surveying who comes and who goes with all of these cameras. with all of these things as well. I really do respect the blade runners in and around London that are taking all of these devices down. It's like, no, you didn't ask us to be, you know, surveyed to this degree. You didn't ask us. Really intrusive. That's bordering upon, in my opinion, being perverse. These guys that can hack your devices, start listening into your microphone and actually accessing your camera. That's really perverse. That's voyeuristic, perverse. That's not okay to be breaching and breaking trust with that. Just because you've got the technology and the ability to do that doesn't mean that you do that. You do that to those that are really sort of like intent on harm and damage and have really dodgy, shady ideologies. You don't use that on civilians. You don't use that. That's a complete breach of trust. So I know as well that when I go in and around all of my prayer walks, at certain times, planes literally circling. Oh, it's funny how those planes literally don't have any sort of like chemtrail abilities there or anything left behind there. Oh, no, no, no. It's amazing as well how that plane can literally stay stationary in the sky with their sort of like, you know, jet propulsion systems that they've got and not move as if it was some sort of a Harrier, you know, jet there or a helicopter that can just stay there. But it's a plane. As they're going around surveilling all of this sort of stuff, marketing it that way. We're also seeing control and surveillance of nature and wildlife, placing all of these things on an eco-warrior basis, turning around and saying, no, it's going to be illegal for you to provide food for yourself, for you to be able to hunt and trap and all of that kind of stuff. And the surveillance of all of that, placing them far above us when it comes to the food chain. All right, first of all, it's Mother Earth now, and then it's the animals, and we're all back of the bus at the bottom. Also, sustainable development of the New World Order. This is the world that they have for us to be looking at. All right, this is actually, when you come down to these 7 sustainable development goals, it comes down to a blank check for totalitarian global control. The UN's Agenda 2030 is sold to us as a noble and benevolent vision for a better world. But as you dig into these goals, it's very clear we're dealing with something far more nefarious. Once you look past the marketing slogans that are kind of warm and fuzzy, you realize that this is actually a blank check for totalitarian global control. It is the action plan, okay, to inventory and control all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all information, all energy, all means of production, and all human beings in the world. He causes all. It's that word again, is it not? All. Okay, so that's basically something just pertaining to, as we were saying, Bill Gates and his boast around new electronic system will eradicate non-compliance with Agenda 2030. I wanted to just cover some of the Agenda 2030 things, guys. And now I just want to go through a couple of headlines before we get into the main article. All right. This is what has been coming out when it relates to things and the 2030 agenda. All right. Power companies are seizing control of thermostats. How so? Restricting air conditioning use to comply with Agenda 2030. The UN says the Pact for the Future is crucial for accelerating Agenda 2030 and addressing global shocks. Boeing whistleblower, here you go, we said it. Plane crashes are inside jobs by global elites to usher in Agenda 2030. It's a way to bring a very enormous industry to its knees. We've also got here the WEF member, you know, says they're human feet on planet to reach Agenda 2030 goals. The global population must be urgently reduced to fight climate change and the lie. And all of those that believe in this lie are willing participants in their own demise. It's crazy. Here we've got Sweden scraps Agenda 2030 goals. Sweden's right-wing government is ditching the United Nations Agenda 2030 goals. They have already scrapped the renewable energy plans and have been pushing for more nuclear power. Good for them. The World Health Organization is saying we have 10 years of pandemics planned to usher in Agenda 2030. This is a great way to reduce all of our, sort of like natural immunity with what it is that they spray overhead, what it is they force us with of our drink and our food and the vaccines, so that we're so dependent on them. Not happening. The UN calls for public to live in mud and straw huts to meet 30 targets. I would love to just go off grid. I'd love it. I'm like, Lord, just please give me the sign and I can get the go bag and gone. Bye-bye. Don't want any electrical devices. Don't want any of it. I am happy to not see that again. And no disrespect. I'd be happy never to see another human face again. Go and sit there and just worship God and wait for him to come. I'd quite happily do that. So yeah, I could quite, prefer to live this particular way as opposed to being told where I can go, where I can't go. I'd love to live free. This continues. UN declares war on dangerous conspiracy theorists who are threatening Agenda 2030. Why? Because we expose it. And we expose it for the evil that it really is. The UN also threatens those who oppose Agenda 2030. This is no longer a negotiation. Did you ever vote on any of these particular things? Were you consulted when it comes to these sustainable development goals? No, I very much doubt it. Okay, UN General Secretary admits New World Order is failing. Agenda 2030 is in peril. This is why they had to change and rename it from Agenda 21, because people have been pushing back and the church is still here. Klaus Schwab admits, this was a couple of years ago, that Agenda 2030 is failing as millions rise up. Yeah, because we don't want to be sterilized. We don't want to be imprisoned. We don't want to have DNA changes. We don't want to be merging with technology, and we don't want that robotic sort of like life. We want to keep the image of God within us. We want freedom of movement, freedom of speech. We don't entrust you with the governance that you have over us because you serve Lucifer. So we're not down with that, man. Thank you. Women Who Survived Maoist China says the WEF Agenda 2030 is turning the US into a Marxist dictatorship. It's the same thing that's happening over here with Keir Starmer, the Fabian Marxist. So what's happening when he's got this, we're going to pump AI into the veins of Brits. That's a very transhumanist predictive programming and revelation of the method right there. We're seeing all of these particular things, turning them into similar regimes like in China. And then we've got the UN and the WEF signed agreements literally to accelerate these 2030 goals. We're just not dying fast enough for them. Yeah, we're talking around the World Economic Forum to euthanize 90% of useless humans by 2030 and upload consciousness to superior AI. This was back in, sort of like July that this was all done, but this is what they're intending when they come up with euthanasia bills, Kim Ledbetter, state-sanctioned murder. We're coming up with all of this depopulation agenda as per the Club of Rome, spraying that overhead, putting it into our foods, putting it into our water, putting it into the vaccines, want you to kill everybody off so that they've got perpetual, sort of like a billion people on this earth. 500 million of those are meant to be Chinese because they're compliant and Japanese because they're submissive. And the rest of us, according to these guys, can literally, go and do one, really. Governments exposed lying about child measles death to push big pharma vaccine agenda. Yeah, they'll cover that up and give them sort of like, their own sort of like protection. But our sort of like protection with our bodily autonomy, no, not so much. 14 nations also sign a WEF treaty to ban natural conception in 2030. What we were saying recently about clones, what we were saying recently around some of the technologies that are advancing in this way, where you get people literally paying an enormous amount of money to be able to have children without defects, without anything of that, taking complete control over the biology and development of that child. And yet the murder that they have when it comes to abortion, it's got nothing to do with, anything but their agenda, their way or the highway. And then we've got 13 nations sign again. This is what's terrifying. It's like 13 nations, 14 nations. But it always comes down to really 13 because they love that number. 13 nations signed WEF treaty to destroy and rebuild major cities before 2030. Don't believe us? Well, just tell that to the Build Back Better crew, because they're the ones that are literally doing that. And then you've got others here. Romania's rightful president, which he was, New World Order, trying to kill me for exposing the satanic agenda. And this is what we're doing as well. This is what happened to the Japanese prime minister. He said, no, we ain't having none of your vaccines. And they executed him. Scientists, whistleblowers, insiders, they're all being popped off. It's not going to be long before you and I are going to be used as their examples. The UK government to introduce electricity rationing as part of WEF's net zero agenda. Yeah, these are the guys that literally want to give you smart meters. Please do not comply. The UK government signs WEF treaty to close airports. There you go. Ban beef and lamb to achieve net zero by 2030. And it says millions of Brits rise up against government plan to eliminate natives by 2030. The Brits over here are rising up. And may I just say right now, okay, Britain is not beyond your prayers. Really? Is that what we're saying? Well, the UK, through a post I read, I'm going to show him some respect, man. I ain't going to name drop him. All right? I'm going to show some respect. That is monstrous what y'all come out with. See any of us Brits turning around to you Americans and saying, y'all are lost because you're Babylon and you're going down. No, we bless, we pray for you. It ain't over until the fat lady sings. We're not going to give up hope. Prayer can move mountains, as I saw one of the messages in there. That's really awful. Say that we're a lost cause over here in the UK. Are you kidding me here? So many Christians in this nation that actually love the Lord Jesus. We've been a beacon to the rest of the nations, and you're wanting to sort of that with us. That's not cool, mate. I'm just going to leave that there. I saw that and I was just like, are you? Oof. Moving on. Goose for bar. All right. WEF memo reveals plans to depop the world of 1 billion white people by 2030. Ah, well, we'll have that a nice little list because we've gathered all of your data. We'll work out which one of you is a white person, which is an ethnic person, all this sort of stuff. And then we'll just give you a particular, dosage when you come round for your, sheeple jab. And then here you go. Top doctor blows whistle about Bill Gates' plan to force vaccinate 500 million children by 2030. This is why he's going into third world countries and developing countries like India and Africa, Indonesia and Singapore, because they're hugely vastly populated areas. Okay, so there is, guys. All right, just some headlines in and around Agenda 2030. Okay, some sort of information around what actually these Agenda 2030 goals are really all about. And now I just want to put some scripture in on this before we get into that main article. Psalm 9:9 reads, "The Lord is a stronghold for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble." Proverbs 14:31, "Whoever oppresses a poor man insults his maker, but he who is generous to the needy honors him." Isaiah 1:17, "Learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, and plead the widow's cause." Psalm 72:4 also reads, "May he defend the cause of the poor of the people, give deliverance to the children of the needy, and crush the oppressor." Psalm 34:18, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." Zechariah 7:10, "Do not oppress the widow, the fatherless, the sojourner, or the poor, and let none of you devise evil against another in your hearts." Says here, Psalm 119:134, "Redeem me from man's oppression, that I may keep your precepts." Proverbs 22:16, "Whoever oppresses the poor," Bill Gates, "to increase his own wealth," Illuminati, Freemasonry, all of the sort of secret societies, "or gives to the rich, he will only come to poverty." Psalm 146:7, "Who executes justice for the oppressed, who gives food to the hungry, the Lord sets the prisoners free." Malachi 3:5, "Then I will draw near to you for judgment. I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, against the adulterers, against those who swear falsely, against those who oppress the hired worker in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, against those who thrust aside the sojourner and do not fear me, says the Lord of hosts. Isaiah 54:14. In righteousness you shall be established. You shall be far from oppression, for you shall not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near to you. Psalm 103:6. The Lord works righteousness and justice for all who are oppressed. Not giving up on them, not quitting to pray for them. Romans 12:19. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. James 2:6. But you have dishonored the poor man, and not the rich, the ones who oppress you, and the ones who drag you into courts. That's going to be coming there. John 14:26, and we'll leave that there for now. But the helper, the Lord, Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things and bring to you and your remembrance all that I've said to you. There we go. Okay, let's go through the article here. Bill Gates boasts new electronic tattoo systems will eradicate non-compliance with Agenda 2030. So these sort of like luciferase tattoos that you can get literally stuck onto your hand. Okay, apparently this is going to eradicate our non-compliance. While everyone is looking the other way, as per usual, Bill Gates is working feverishly behind the scenes to kill off smartphones and replace them with a new technology, electronic tattoos embedded under your skin. Not put on the top, but embedded. Please may I just not be rude to you guys and say a quick hello before we get into this. Hi there, Sherry. God bless you. Thank you for holding the fort. I'm out. God bless you. Hello. Hi there, Mike. Buddy. Bless you and yours. Thank you to our mods for just being here and just holding the fort. And thank you. Hi there, our Megan. God bless you. Megan's our sort of like channel manager, and she does a lot behind the scenes that, you know, I'm not going to embarrass her to what she does or what she gives. But our Sherry, our Megan, and our Cher, really honored to have some really great godly women in and around me, serving and supporting. I really am blessed by you. Thank you. Okay, we've got GG here. Hi, love and hugs, none but love. Bless you. Thank you for being so warm and welcoming and showing the love of the Lord to one another. It's what this space is about. You know, we talk nasty. We got to show some love. You know, sometimes it gets a bit too much, and there's just too much love in the moon when I go, I'll leave. But for the most part, it's all right because it's the morning for you lot, isn't it? Hi there, Kevin. Hello, mate. Bless you. Okay, let's get to it then. All right. According to Gates, life as you know it will soon be impossible without one. Digital IDs, yeah, we've got that over here. We've got BritCard, okay, trying to, you know, sort of like groom us with our national sort of like identity and get us all used to this, you know, ID card that Bill Gates has, and failure to have one of his, as per Ursula von der Leyen, the European president, and Bill Gates will exclude you from society. So digital IDs fused with your body, a modern mark of the beast. Controlling access to everything, work, travel, money. Do we not also read where this really comes down to when we look at the mark of the beast? Can I just read that out for you just for a moment, with your permission? Revelation 13:16. Also, it. Oh, I love that. I just love that. Can't we put a little sh in front of it? Do you know what I mean? Also, it causes all, don't even give him a name because he ain't worthy of one, you know. It causes all, both small and great. That's everybody. That includes all of those that work for the beast system currently, just doing their job, All right, you're going to have one of these. We ain't. We ain't. Both small and great. All right, top to bottom, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand. See what I was saying earlier when it came to this live, and how they're all sort of like, you know, fobbing everybody off by putting this technology when they're promoting it onto their left, so that people do not make this connect. okay, to be marked on the right hand or on the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. So no one can access services or health or anything else, be out of trade, unless he has this particular mark. All right. It says here, so no one can buy or sell. It says no one, not just a few people. Oh, you're exempt. No. It says all as well. It doesn't mean a few. That means everybody, all. Okay. And then we were talking around, can we get stitched up at the moment with this sort of like mark of the beast? No, because that's not our time yet. All right. This is really important for the bride to understand. Okay. Revelation 14, 9 through 11. All right. Or 9:11, if you will, please. Another angel, a third, followed them, saying with a loud voice, we haven't seen one of them about, if anybody worships the beast and its image and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, he will also drink the wine of God's wrath, poured full strength into the cup of his anger, and he will be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, these worshippers of the beast and its image, and whoever receives the mark of its name. And it's there again, isn't it? Its name. I just love that. It's so cool. Okay, I took it to the dark side. I admit it, but do you know what I mean? Am I wrong? Please tell me. Okay, so we're seeing this here, aren't we? When it comes to all, this is Bill Gates' intention, his plan to control access to everything. Oh, come on. Controlling access to everything. That includes work, that includes travel, and that also includes your money. We've been warning about the elite's beast system for years, have we not, guys? 8 years now and counting, and now it's all coming to life. What they do by their slow reveal or revelation of the method or the grooming process with predictive programming, we're seeing it all take shape now, aren't we? It's already here, out and about. The question is, really, will you resist? Or will you be forced to comply? This is the question that we're posing to individuals now when it comes to how much are you prepared to really suffer for the King of Kings and Lord of Lords? Us here right now exposing the beast system with the social credit score system against us, taking away our views, taking away our limits to have any growth or have any reach in that particular way. Are we as a watchman and watchwomen community prepared to experience, sort of like social alienation when it comes to being, striked because we've not consented with the beast system and its guidelines? Are we prepared to take a little bit of suffering, take a little bit of a hit? Are we prepared to experience, perhaps over here in the UK, at least it's going to be coming around real soon, imprisonment and the loss of our freedom, loss of our rights, being demonetized, being targeted and attacked? Are we prepared to take some of those hits for the Lord? Or are we going to bottle it? Are we going to bow out and just comply? How much of us prepared to experience a little bit of comfort when it came to the whole, sort of like pandemic? A lot of Christians didn't, did they? They rolled up their sleeves, shut their doors and said, yes, boss, yes, massa. That's what they did. Didn't stand up for the Lord for the most part. There are a lot of people out there that also did stand up and lost jobs, lost livelihoods, lost businesses, lost reputation, lost family, friends and others for the Lord because they took their stand. And that's what the Lord is asking for, is it not? Compliance, obedience, rather than sacrifice. Is that not what we read also? It's better to obey than to sacrifice. It's what the Lord wants. So when I've really struggled in, the last year that we've been away from YouTube and we've been on Rumble, we've been able to get maybe 50 views. And I'm like 6-7 hours doing those videos, 50 views. So I'm not going to change my work ethic. I'm going to give that the best video that I can do and put it together and do whatever. Ain't going to affect that. And it is demoralizing when you see someone turn around and do something and they get 250,000 in 24 hours. Like, I would have to be like, seriously, Methuselah's age of 969 to even be able to get halfway there. The sort of like indiscrepancy of that. Are we prepared also to lead by example? So I was really encouraged to those brothers and others that have recommended our work, that have shared our work, because they took a risk there as well. They were prepared to, by association, take some heat, and I do respect that, and I don't forget that. It's a great honor going on Peter and Laurie's live yesterday. and just coming on and just showing respect to another watchman for the kindness and the bravery that he had in sharing our work. Because he could take the hits now. Someone there documenting, right, that's it. We're going to hurt Peter and Laurie's channel. We're going to demonetize them. We're going to do this to them. We're going to make it really difficult because of, you know, who it is that they're associated with, and our friends and our brothers and sisters, and how the Lord's connected us beautifully together over the last 8 years. This is what we're also trying to model and mirror in front of, you know, the sort of like the future, our future brothers and sisters, those that aren't saved, those that aren't, you know, in the Lord's sort of like first cut as such when it comes to the rapture, those that are going to be tribulation saints. We have this opportunity to mirror that boldness and that courage to say, no, we're not standing, you know, down when it comes to the beast system. We're going to stand up against it, and we're going to expose it. If they want to censor us because of things that we want to talk about in the vaccine, and they want to censor us when it comes to what they're doing overhead and all of the evil, we're not turning a blind eye to that. We don't have a pick and mix when it comes to Ezekiel 33. That's not our remit. That's not our job. We don't get to have that right or say. We're told to sound the alarm at whatever expense or price to self. That's what we've got to do. And we can't do that from the comfort of our own home, our own chair, right here, right now. What's that going to be like for those tribulation saints who are literally going to be dragged out of their houses, lined up against a wall and taken down and out, being rolled up into the village squares or the town squares or city centres where there's guillotines and people with cameras as they're having their heads being cut off? How can we not mirror and model now to these guys how it was that we stood up against what it was that we saw as well? This is our heart here to expose evil. And I bless each one of you in Jesus' name, those that are here and those that come after, that have the stomach to sit down and listen to some of these things, because it's not an easy read. You really do need a real, you know, strength almost to be constantly, as we do and we've been called to do, expose the darkness. Are we going to roll over? Are we going to obey God, or are we going to obey man? People going to take the mark of the beast and bow down and worship? Or we're like, hell no, man, you best pull that trigger on me right now, because I ain't doing what you're saying. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to stand down. I'm not going to cower when you're intimidating and you're bullying and you're using all technology and all of these things that you're saying to me are for my benefit, but you're actually using them against me. You're weaponizing absolutely everything against me. The food, the water, the weather, the vaccines, technology, all of it against me. So no, I don't trust you. I'm never going to trust you, because you've epically failed. You are at a point of no return as far as I'm concerned. So this is what it's really about, isn't it? We've been warning about the elites beast system for years. One world government, the new world order, one world currency, one world religion, Islam, Abrahamia, central bank digital currencies, digital public infrastructure, digital IDs, digital passports, yeah, social credit score system, the internet of bodies, the internet of things, 5G, 6G, and now they're saying 7G, okay, and everything overhead when it comes to chemtrails, everything that says in the vaccines, self-assembling nanotechnologies, sterilization, yeah, super, you know, sudden adult deaths, and all of the adverse effects that come with that. The Lord God will also give those that take the mark of the beast his own version of adverse, you know, reactions when it comes to boils and sores for taking it. That's not going to be looking good for some folk, is it? Them all trying to be all pretty. Oh yeah, have one of these, and then straight after that it's like, nah, you've got sores all over. That's going to be really uncomfortable to have when you've also got to endure the 7 seals, bowls, trumpets, and the 2 witnesses as well. So the choice comes down to us now individually. Will we comply? Will we just sort of like, you know, turn away and pretend that that's not happening? I can't do that. I get very unpopular with people because I point out what I see. Granted, I might have a better way of actually sort of like addressing that sometimes, but there are some things where I just get consumed, just like Jesus was saying, you know, sort of like zeal for my Father's house consumes me. I'm the same with some things. I have some non-negotiables. And I just see red when I see that. And I see evil. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm not going to pretend I didn't, because that's cowardice in my book. Continuing with this. So for the last few years, we've stood shoulder to shoulder, you know, exposing what's evil. Bill Gates' relentless drive to force digital IDs under your skin. This is where he all wants that. It's what Yuval Noah Harari has been saying. the next type of surveillance is going on in under your skin. This is what Klaus Schwab is also saying when it comes to brain chips. I can't, for the life of me, I can't understand how people don't see this massive connection when it comes to Revelation. I just can't, I can't get my head around it, how they are not joining the dots. And I hope that they are, because these people that sit behind the screens and want to sort of like give us a strike or shut us all down and do whatever they're going to do, make our lives really difficult. This is coming for you. You're the ones that are going to have this. Are you happy with your DNA being changed? Are you happy about all of your sort of like every thought, every feeling, every emotion, and then maybe even having some sort of like a reactional thing out of it if you're not being compliant? Are you happy to, you know, bow down to some work of a man's hand? You happy to do all of that? You happy to spend eternity in hell, separate away from the Lord, separate away from, you know, your friends and some of your family? Are you down with that? Personally, I'm not. This is why they've tried to mock us and scoff us and label us in certain ways, trying to silence us and suppress us, which is what they're doing a really good job at, so that our work doesn't go out to places. I can't tell you how many platforms we have started and not been able to lift off the ground, not because of our efforts or resources. Far from that. A lot was put into it, but because of the system would not permit it. But you want to sort of like having, you know, videos where in the titles there'll be blasphemies and swearing and cussing and all of that sort of stuff. Oh, now I'll have like millions of views, where you're flipping off 666 fingers and all of that sort of stuff. Someone giving me grief the other day on one of our posts that I took down because I was just like, I was so furious with that. It's like, no, man, that person got through the whole pandemic without a scratch. Controlled opposition, a wolf. And then on his thumbnail, he has a 666 finger being flipped off for a thumbnail. And I exposed that with a man who has 3.5 million subs. And then someone's just like, oh, you owe that person an apology. I was just like, oh my days. I went off the reservation. And I was like, Lord, goose for bar, you know, I'm just going to take that down. Because if I come back at that person, that's going to be it. That ain't going to be nice. And I don't want to sin in my anger. I don't want to go swearing. I don't want to go cussing. I don't want to have to go on my prayer walks and say to the Lord, I'm really sorry about that, because it's not unacceptable. If we see what we see, we have a duty and a responsibility to report it out. Just as much as I encourage some of you, brothers and sisters, not to be selfish with your knowledge base, that you share what it is that the Lord has shown you, that you pass that on, you pay it forward to others that need it. Many of you have, and you've been epically slapped down because of it. Lost relationships, lost loves, lost opportunities. I get it. But at this particular point in juncture, with us being so close to really going home, does any of that matter? How much we experience that down here in comparison to what we're storing up for ourselves there? This continues. We've taken the brickbats, endured the ridicule, have we not? Scoffing and mocking. Just like in 1 Peter says, oh, where's the promise of his coming? Jesus is coming. We've faced the blowback, have we not? Oh, well, you use this word. Oh, we didn't want people to know what was in these vaccines. We don't want people to know what's in this technology and its content. We want to fool people and deceive people. Well, there's been people that turned around and done their research. Okay, that's what part of science is, actually, asking questions, critical analysis, and holding it up to a light and just tearing it apart. Oh, no, we can't do that with your work, can you? No, we've just got to agree to all of it. Truth always comes out after the fact, is it not? For over a decade, smartphones have been our constant companion, more like a shackle when it comes to digital addiction, which is far worse than some of the sort of like, you know, things you stick up your nose or in your veins, or, you know what I mean, things you'll smoke. All right, far more dangerous. For over a decade, smartphones have been our constant companion, our link to email, social media, maps, oh, tell us where we're going, banking, everything. They've shaped how we live, work, and interact. But according to Bill Gates, that era is about to come to an end, and not by accident. I would love to throw my phone away. Gates is determined to kill off the smartphone and replace it with something far more invasive. Really? Like, that's not invasive enough when they're listening into your conversations, you know? When they're listening to that with the microphone that they've got, as well as the camera that's also there, knowing everything that you've got going on, predicting you the way that it can. telling me that that's, you know, that's, like I've been saying, all of this technology, these are external versions of the mark of the beast. Now look what this Muppet is doing when it comes to placing that technology in under your skin. You're not to see how this is all gearing towards Revelation 13:16. I really hope, I know that you guys are, but I'm hoping that I'm speaking to someone out there for the first time that's hearing this thinking, whoa. And that was written thousands of years ago by the prophet John on the island of Patmos. Really? Wow. Yeah, that's how awesome God is. That's his revelation of the method. That's him telling you in advance because he loves you and he cares for you. And there's a consequence to you for taking this, as opposed to, you know, the world not being forthcoming, not being very open or transparent about its contents and what that thing will really do to you, like phones that give, you know, cancers and brain tumors and all that sort of stuff by being in and amongst our brains being microwaved. Now, they don't tell you about that, man, because they just want to make the sale, don't they? But the Lord here, out of his love and his infinite love, will tell you that no, some of these things will be harmful for you. Don't be dependent on those things for everything. Which is why I've been saying that when I leave my phone devices, because I'm on it quite a bit because of the ministry, it doesn't like me when I'm not. It's like, where are you? What are you doing? Where are you? What, you know, like some Klingon, needy, insecure, awful. This invasiveness and these electronic tattoos, which are Lucifer race, by the way. I'm telling you, technology designed to merge with your body, the transhumanist agenda, the fourth industrial Reich. All right, this is what we've been reporting on over the last week and for the last 8 years. We said it was coming. The technology is here now. And so, developed by chaotic moon and later snapped up by Accenture, these tattoos promise instant communication, internet access and health monitoring without a single screen. Now, do you understand why controlled opposition RFK is wanting you to have wearables? Yeah, okay, because this is the grooming process to that, the manipulation, the deviance attached to this. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be walking around with, you know, sort of like my tat there that I got when I was in the armed forces. I don't want that, starting to talk like I'm some sort of like Trekkie. As fun as that might be, I don't want that. Listening in to what's going on, having that sort of like communication, no chance. I don't want to have the internet on that. Do you know what I mean? I want it separate. Okay, I want to go to my laptop, or I want to go to my computer, or I want to go to my phone. That's my choice, man. I'm not having that all merged in my biology. That is completely invasive. It's like, how dare you? Can anyone just say? And then health monitoring, that's the sort of like plug that RFK Jr. is doing. Oh, we'll be able to help you with all of this and sort of stuff. It's like, nah, that ain't how it works. All I'll do is just get a pen, write my blood group on it, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? And it's there without a single screen. All for convenience, so they say. Really? All for you being imprisoned. But here's where it gets dark, as if it wasn't dark enough already. They're not in your pockets or your back pocket. They're under your skin, aren't they just? A permanent addition to your body's ecosystem. Get behind me, Satan. Always on, always connected, and always watching. Say goodbye to your privacy. So I won't have all of these devices, because I had this in my room because we were talking about people mouthing off about my artwork or whatever, my pictures, my painting, being really rude. I was like, right, I'm not giving them that, Lord, no more. It's going to be in my bedroom. But when I go to bed, everything's unplugged, everything's all switched off here. We've got a laptop here, laptop there, iPad here, another iPad here, and then everything's not in this room. I don't want people knowing what's going on when I'm sleeping. I don't want people knowing when I'm getting up and when I'm getting out, and what it is they think that I like and need and should have replacing. I don't like that. I don't want a relationship with technology. The elites are selling it as sleek, subtle, and more convenient and intuitive. Yeah, dangling carrot alert than anything we've seen before. Tiny nano capacitors, do you know what I mean? Flux capacitor, all right? Power the system. Groom alert. No bulky batteries, no visible device, just an invisible tether fusing your body to the grid. So they've got this on capacity. What about the off capacity? You misbehave, someone's just going to type in some code and that's it, you're done, son. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, we didn't see you bow down and pay homage to the beast system. You're done. Oh, you're going for a little bit of a walk in and around, you know, an area. We don't want you to go around because you're getting really close to your 15-minute sort of like living radius. We're going to give you a wedgie with all these smart clothes as well. It will also grass you up to the system. Once this tech becomes your digital ID, all right, so it's like that, isn't it? It's a case of, well, people aren't buying the digital ID fast enough, despite how we flood borders and we try and justify it that way when it comes to immigration, finding out who you are. Well, we'll just say that it's for children now, so that you can't watch this and can't watch that, have to surrender your identity and everything of that sort. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's not as if facial recognition doesn't serve as that anyway, when they've got everything pertaining to who it is that you are, your name, your gender, your preferences. Why? Because they do that all with the censuses. They do that with data collection. Once this is all there and becomes your digital ID, these, electronic tattoo systems, there will be no logging out. You won't be able to take that off. You're going to get a scalpel and taking it out under your skin as well. Do you know what I mean? Seeing all these things where you get these, sort of technologies when people are on house arrest and tags and stuff. That's what it's going to be like. You want to take that off, they'll have all those alerts. Oh, you're tampering. Oh, you're tampering. And they'll just like release some sort of chemical that will go into your blood system and you're done. This is what they're going to be doing, guys. It's like, why can't these guys just bob off and go and colonialize some planet 1 billion, trillion, million miles away instead of having to kill off and imprison the 99%? It's just unbelievable. There'll be no turning it off, no logging out, and no opting out either. This isn't convenience. This is control. The next phase of the beast system is already here, guys. And make no mistake, Gates is about to make his move. The question isn't if it will happen, it's whether you'll be ready to resist it when it does. Do not take any ID, digital or otherwise. It's like, boom, there you go, mate. There's my fingerprint. Take it, have it. It's yours. You ain't getting nothing else on me. Nothing else off me. I will not comply in any way, shape, or form. And I'll take your fine as well then. That's fine. Regina E. Dugan, the first female director of DARPA, the shadowy military agency RFK, exposed for spraying chemicals on America. And this is why they're doing it, so they can get your trust back. Fail. And a long list of other crimes has already declared victory. She boasts that we'll be queuing up to be branded with electronic tattoos. No chance. Not because we desire them, but because without them, we'll be locked out of society itself. Great. I don't want to be a part of the society as it stands at the moment, when everyone's really mean and nasty and awful to each other. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to go out into these clubs and these environments and just see people being drunk, puking up, starting fights, violence, aggression, damage, all of that kind of stuff. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to go and sit around a whole load of other people laughing at blasphemy in a cinema when it breaks my heart that they're saying that about the Lord. I don't want to be having to turn away when they want to get their freak on and get all sexy and juicy with it, because I don't want to see that. I don't want to be a part of the system that they've got. And I don't want to be listening to music that glorifies death, suffering, and satanic rituals and sacrifices. I don't want to be a part of that. I'm not fobbed off by what it is that you're trying to force feed me. I'd turn away. I don't want a part of that society that you have in mind. I'm looking forward to, what we have in store for heaven. And I am so looking forward to the Lord Jesus's, reign on the earth, the 1,000-year reign, his rule, his way, his truth, his life. That's what I'm looking forward to, not the alternatives from the beast system. Again, these guys serve the father of lies, who is nothing but a murderer, a thief, and a liar. And the Lord Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through Jesus Christ the Son. Complete polar opposite in terms of what's been offered. And the most chilling parts, the creators of this beast system openly admit they're targeting children because they've already groomed them with their phones and their devices and distracting them with entertainment, stupefying them, giving them a digital addiction from the offset. Can't live without these phone devices. Can't be away from them. People are having fasts and stuff. No longer they're having fasts from foods or drink or alcohol or anything of that sort. Chocolate. They're having fasts away from their technology, because that's the real yoke that needs to be, abandoned. It's far more devastating than these drugs that addicts take. I speak from experience. So, the creators of this beast system openly admit that they're targeting children, conditioning the next generation to accept a future where control is embedded under their skin from day one. How many movies, guys, have we seen? And it's not just the adult movies. It's going right down now, isn't it? To like certificate 12s and to children as well that can access them. This isn't progress. It's the beast system made flesh. A digital brand. A modern mark of the beast. Reducing every man, woman, and child to tagged property on a global grid of control. And you just wait that this video won't get over 300 views. So they don't want you to know about this stuff. They'll suppress it and bury the information. And without that mark, you won't be able to authenticate yourself. No proof of identity, no access to work, to money, to travel, to life itself. See where this dystopian reality that they've got planned is heading. And that's the plan, folks. Gates' pet scientists and DARPA's shadowy spooks are rolling out tech that's already sliding through FDA approval. They'll just sign anything off, just as long as it's got, evil, wicked, and it's come from a cauldron put on it. And these devices, you'll brand into your skin. I pray tell that you are not foolish enough to fall for any of this technology going anywhere near your body other than your back pocket or your purse. Not forever to go in on under your skin. You will be hacked, son. And pills you'll be swallowing new every day for the rest of your life. Dependency. Oh, you just need this booster for your signal. Not by choice, but by coercion. Because without them, you won't be authenticated. Comply, and you'll be, not comply, you'll be cut off. But here's when it gets really, truly sinister. As if that's not enough, guys. Let's talk about the little no filing US patent 060606. Yes, 666. The number of the beast. The patent described a so-called cryptocurrency system using body activity data. It's there, guys. And guess whose name is all over it? Bill Gates. This patent describes a future where your very movements, your biological signals, even your brainwaves are mined and monetized. In other words, your body becomes the battery. Anyone say Neo Matrix? Now, link that to electronic tattoos and ingestible tech. Albert Bourla saying, you take this and we'll be able to know whether you've taken your medicine or not. Really nefarious. Okay, already sliding through the FDA. It's already gone there. Got the videos on our Rumble channel. Go see them, guys. And you start to see the picture. The mark of the beast isn't science fiction. It's biblical fact. It's being patented right now, codified right now, and quietly prepared for rollouts. And what happens when you decide to rebel against the system? To say no to the digital brand, to reject the system? Well, member of the European Parliament, Christian Anderson, has seen the plans. Anderson has sounded the alarm. If Gates is allowed to unleash this technology, which he will, and if the public blindly complies, which it always does, then humanity will be dragged into a darkness from which we may never return. And the Lord God called all of this. See how can people not be dropping on their faces right now and saying, wow, how great is our God? Wow, that he told us in advance, loved us enough. The nightmare of communist East Germany, the iron grip of the Soviet Union. These will look like child's play compared to what the globalists have planned. Let alone, more importantly than what they think that they're going to be doing, is what the Lord intends, how he intends to judge the earth soon. The tribulation is not going to be pretty at all. There are enormous consequences behind taking the mark of the beast and bowing down to worship. An angel will speak out the consequence of that. Fiery torment where there is no rest, day or night. That's 24/7, forever and ever, for taking that. Once they seize total control, every movement, every thought, every breath will be monitored and managed. This isn't just surveillance, guys. It's the end of human freedom as we know it. The upcoming rollout is no longer a question of if, only when. The elites are already preparing a massive psychological operation to convince the masses it's time to ditch their so-called conveniences like smartphones and embrace the beast system, technology embedded under the skin. All they've got to do is turn around and actually just, disclose the facts pertaining to our phones with the radiation and the frequency and the brain tumors and the cancers and how, inappropriate and inadvisable it is for our health to have these devices in and around us. They've only got to tell the truth about these sorts of things, and you see how that goes. Or they'll come up with a false flag event, just like they were able to do over with in Israel and blowing up pages. All of a sudden, they could use that against us, could they not? None of us really know what's in the tech, really, with all of the circuitry, the boards of the system. I wouldn't know which bit went where and did what, would you? And I'm usually okay with some of that stuff, but I wouldn't have a Scooby-Doo. So I want to read that again. The elites are already preparing a massive psychological operation, all right? False flag, black swan, to convince you and I it's time to ditch our so-called conveniences like smartphones and embrace the beast system. This is why they've always wanted to be chipping the cats over here in the UK, where you get £500 fines for not chipping your pets and your dogs. Because they wouldn't want those signals to be, sort of like, blended together when they're sending out their death squads and hunting down Christians. Wouldn't want to be going after a cat up some tree, would they? Wouldn't want to be going after some dog barking. They want to know everything. And this is what they're also wanting, it all to be there so that they can be tracked and traced. Unbelievable. And it's time for us to ditch these conveniences like smartphones and embrace the beast system, this technology embedded under the skin. Those of you who resisted during the COVID era, yes, who refused to cave to the globalist lies, survived the greatest mass deception psyop in history. You deserve an enormous amount of credit. You do. Having your DNA intact for a start, for not complying with experimental vaccines, for not being coerced and manipulated, for having that right to say no, ask questions about science, respect your bodily autonomy as your body being the temple that it is. Those that weren't manipulated, those that did their research and found out what was in these vaccines, self-assembly nanotechnology, sterilizing, the death jab, poison, the spiritual pertainment to this relating to pharmakia and sorcery, getting everyone dependent on drugs. My mum said, Dan, don't take drugs. Didn't always listen to her, but in that regard, I did. As the late Nobel Prize winner Luc Montagnier warned, it may be people like you who ultimately saved humanity itself by speaking out against all of that. Which is why we have so many channels being taken down, because we're still not stopping, because children are still having this now. People, elderly, frail, they're still rolling it out in so many different products, not just vaccines, as we report, which is killing people. It's maiming them, sterilizing them, harming them. I care about that because people are dying. I don't care about just a timeline. God bless you. I feel it. But I care about life and death matters, because these people are going to hell when they die. It's important that people stand up. What's that saying? The only thing for evil to triumph is good people do and say nothing, turning a blind eye. This should be on every single, sort of like platform, every single channel, when it comes to the Watchman community, on every single post. These such said matters, especially this video. But we can't rest on our laurels now, guys, because a new assault is coming. And this one will be even harder to spot. So how do we prepare? How do we recognize the trap before it closes around us? To help answer that, there's Chase Hughes, a former US military behavior expert, with his tips on how to spot a psyop before it ensnares you. My go bag that I have, all right, doesn't have any technology in it. It deliberately has things that can hide and fight against the modern technologies that are here, like heat blankets that remove my signature. So you can't use infrared or thermal imaging over me in that way. And I know how to evade that particular technology. So I'm not tracked or traced. The only thing I have in there is a radio that is wrapped up in a particular, certain thing I ain't saying here, that can be used to hide where it is my location is. Anyone with me, there wouldn't be any technology. That's how they get you. So here's where we stand. The beast system is no longer a theory. It is on the verge of being rolled out. Electronic tattoos, ingestible devices, Neuralink, hand payments, palm payments, face rec, iris scans, all of that stuff is soon to go in under the skin. Digital IDs tied to every aspect of life. Total control, hidden behind the mask of convenience. But remember this, they only succeed if we comply. They only win if we stay silent. Every time you say no, every time you refuse to bow to their digital chains, you keep the flame of freedom alive. It's really important that we do that, guys. Just want to go back to just something here. It's an article that I saw. It says about the human microchipping. Microchips, well, we're all familiar with them, are we not? They're used in our phones, our computers, and are often embedded into our pets. And that's what we now are to these guys, an extenuation of that, putting them in under us. Hell no. Line me up against the wall. I will take that guillotine and I will shout for joy and be led forth with peace as the mountains, you know what I mean? That's what I'll be doing, going out with shouts of joy and praise. Coming home, Father, coming to you, my Lord. None of this technology, not taking away what it means for me to be made in the image of my God, thank you. But the idea of fusing technology with human biology is an idea many people, quite understandably, are far less comfortable with. Yes, the concept of human microchipping is relatively simple. It involves implanting microscopic integrated circuits under the human skin, commonly the gap between the thumb and forefinger, which will be on the right hand. These chips can serve a range of purposes, including identification, contactless payments, and more. Finding out your allegiance to the beast system. It's an area still in its early stages, but a Wisconsin-based company famously hosted a chip party where employees could become microchipped purely for convenient purposes. Instead of accessing company premises through a key fob, employees could swipe their newly microchipped hand. The company, Three Squares Markets, specializes in cafeteria kiosks. It's hard to disassociate the dystopian elements of this story. But note the procedure was fully voluntary. It's what also will be the case with the mark of the beast. People will willingly do this. And an angel will fly overhead, warning everybody of the consequences. But we are seeing this getting prepared now, guys. It also represents just one of a handful of reports of corporate human microchipping. There are, however, now 5,000 Swedes and counting with chips implanted in their bodies. A Swedish rail operator now even facilitates payments through human implanted microchips. While technology pioneers advocate for greater acceptance of microchipping, don't ever. Some serious concerns, must first be addressed. How this can be harmful to the human body, privacy concerns, and theft are very real threats that are part and parcel of human microchips. Privacy concerns surrounding human microchipping take many different forms, with hacking being a major one. Theoretically, hackers could steal private information kept on the wearer's microchip. You only got to go near them and have some sort of like cloning device in your tech to clone whatever it is to have on that. Hack, so easy to do. And the financial information that they're putting all in there is also used in contactless payments or medical records stored on the chip, could all be at the mercy of a new form of hacking. Intrusive surveillance, a kind bordering on Orwellian, could be another troubling consequence of human microchips. A user with a microchip implanted in them could potentially be tracked wherever they go. Information from an RFID chip is easily obtained, meaning the everyday movements of a citizen could be monitored and exploited for nefarious purposes. The potential biological complications are also somewhat unknown. Of course, they've not done this before. While we know that human microchipping is physically possible, injections and other medical complications could be unexpected side effects of the procedure, and God gives them the adverse reactions to taking this himself. It's like, fine, you want to have this, trying to be subtle and pretending that you don't have that in your hand. I ain't letting you get away with that. I'm showing the whole world that you belong to your father, the beast system. Love it. Some of the key health issues associated with microchips include adverse tissue reaction. Everyone will know that it's God's adverse reaction with boils and sores. Implanted transponder migration, electromagnetic interference, and cancer risks. While privacy and health issues are at the fore of concerns, there are some significant social ramifications too. The 3 Square Market incident represented a physical infusion of workplace technology into the human body. Annie, all right, who's here, has to give up her eyeball just to get into work. It's awful. As well as raising concerns about work infiltrating the body of the free individual. It could also create an unsettling dynamic within the future workforce. If 30 or 40 years' time, employers who opt to become microchip could gain an unfair advantage in the labour markets. I'm not going to carry on with some of the grooming to that article pertaining to the benefits of microchipping, because believe you me, I don't believe that there are any. I do want us to continue with this, and then we'll leave. Revelation 13, 16, 18. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the number of the beast or the number of its name. Discourse for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, or patented Bill Gates 060606. And just lastly, the caveat is that you can't be fooled by having this, despite how they're trying to put it into everything. The actual genuine mark of the beast, Revelation 14, 9, 11, 911 or 911 emergency, hello. And another angel, a third, followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and its image and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, he will also drink the wine of God's wrath, poured full strength into the cup of his anger, and he will be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, these worshippers of the beast and its image, and whoever receives the mark of its name. Really interesting, isn't it, guys? I think to be very mindful of what it is that the beast system is literally rolling out, what it's saying through convenience, where this is all leading to, and more importantly, what the Lord God has to say pertaining to the acceptance of this technology. Run, leg it, steer clear, I would say, from any of this technology being placed in and under your skin. That includes digital IDs, that includes digital passports, CBDCs. Use cash for as long as you can, and just be mindful of the things that they're literally trying to roll out here. Okay, this sort of like deviance of the electronic tattoo system will eradicate non-compliance. Yeah, it'll be excluding you if you don't take the digital ID from society. Bill Gates' digital ID, and now Bill Gates again saying, well, if you don't take my tattoo system, then there'll be, consequences for you in that. Just want to say also here, Proverbs 14:31 again, whoever oppresses a poor man insults his maker, but he who is generous to the needy honors him. Really important that we see how God sees, each and every one of us, how we're beautifully made in his image. And it's important for us because we are duty bound to keep such said image and for it not to be infiltrated, coerced by what's being offered. Bless you guys. Thank you for being here, Sherry. Thank you. Please also do see our backup channel, guys, because we have covered some ground here where they could very much censor us. If they do, then we will be on our backup channel tomorrow. Thank you for putting our Rumble channel there as well. Afterwards, guys, as always, I'll put a thumbnail up. I'll put these articles in the description box for you and yours, for you to read out those. And then about 5 minutes later, I'll put another post in the community relating to some of this technology so you can see with your own eyes what is literally being rolled out as we speak, videos that we've made and put together. We'd like to thank Sherry and all of you guys that have taken the time to sit through this. I know it's a little bit of a longer one, guys, but I don't want to leave any of these things open to suggestion. We want to cover all of our bases and just want to warn you over what's being rolled out while you're being distracted. So God bless each and every one of you. Enjoy the rest of your day and we'll talk again soon. All right. Bye now.